Detecting and responding to threats in the cloud is harder than doing it on-prem. Even when you do have the visibility you need, legacy security workflows weren't designed for the speed and complexity of cloud environments. Cloud-native security solutions from ExtraHop are purpose-built to spot threats across the hybrid attack surface, provide detailed investigation steps, and help you automate response. Request your 30-day free trial at securityweekly.com/ExtraHop. Welcome back, everyone, to Enterprise Security Weekly. Of course, the RSA conference is coming up pretty soon. It is February 24th through the 28th, where you can join thousands of security professionals, forward-thinking innovators, and solution providers for 5 days of actionable learning, inspiring conversation, and breakthrough ideas. Now, if you register before January 24th, you save $900 on a full conference pass. You can save an extra $150 by going to securityweekly.com/RSAC 2020 and use our discount code to register. Now, for this segment, it's all about RSA. And here to tell you about this year's conference, of course, is Britta Glade and Linda Gray. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Britta, your name, sorry, Linda, your name begins with a B, so I was going to go to you first for your introduction, just to be fair. We'll go by.
Excellent. Yeah, aside from the fact that it's the water filter and the air freshener, yes, I'm the director of content and curation for RSA Conference. So all things content, I directly work on it with our program committee.
And Linda?
Yes, so I'm Linda Gray Martin, and I'm the general manager of RSA Conference. So I have actually overall responsibility for the event, working very closely with Britta and the rest of our team.
Fantastic. I think it's a really great place to start, and that's, a lot of conferences choose a theme. Some do and some don't, but I think it's nice when they have a theme, especially for the attendees and the speakers, right, to all kind of be on the same theme. So what's the theme for this year's RSA conference? Yeah,
so the theme this year is the human element. And I can honestly tell you, I don't think we've ever experienced such a hugely positive reaction to one of our themes before, because I think it's something that's so relevant for all of us. So right now, there is really a growing focus on an understanding of the importance of people when it comes to security solutions, not just as individuals, but as diverse teams and as technology partners. And I think as we barrel towards this fully automated world, we have to remember that our most valuable asset is and always will be us, people, and the community. And I think we felt that as we head into a brand new decade, it was a great time to stop and reflect on this and remind ourselves of the value and importance of people. So, like I said before, it seems to resonate. We weave this theme throughout everywhere, which has been actually really easy to do this year because we've had such a great response to it.
Yeah, we talk a lot about people, process, technology, but a lot of us just tend to go to the technology, but people are involved in all those steps, right? We need the right people. We need the people to implement and drive the process. We need people to run the technologies and bring all this stuff together. And so I think it's really great that we reinforce this concept of the people, the human element in security, because it does span across a lot of what we have to do on a day-to-day basis. Machines aren't going to replace us anytime soon.
Right. And there's just nothing more valuable than getting people together and those face-to-face connections that people make. They're hugely valuable to people as human beings, but also professionally.
Yeah, it's interesting how that plays into multiple aspects. I was watching a TV show. It was actually on Amazon called The Feed, which addresses a lot of the issues everyone just discussed. But one of the quotes that I thought was really interesting was I won't want to spoil the plot, but it was said in the show that AI is created by humans to serve humans, right? And I think that's really important because the human aspect is still there. Now, how that plays in the plot, you got to go watch the show. And if you've watched it, maybe we can talk after.
Yeah, but I mean, and the whole people element is hugely important to us at this year's conference. So just one thing I wanted to tell everybody about, something that we're very excited about, and it all plays into us really focusing on attendee value and trying to offer a more personalized RSA conference experience, knowing how big the event has become. And we are really excited this year to introduce our brand new RSAC engagement zone. And it's really bringing that human element theme to life. We're creating a new space and a new experience for our attendees to engage and connect with each other, whether it's one-on-one connections or group connections. And we're offering different ways for people to do that, whether it's formally or informally. So this is the first time we've ever had this kind of space. The physical space itself is going to be in Moscone West, so in the thick of all the content and where all the sessions are. And we're going to be offering a variety of different formats and learning formats. And we are introducing a new tool called Brain Date, and we love that name. And it's going to enable our attendees to easily find each other, find others with common interests, and set up those meetings, whether they're one-to-one or one-to-many. So we are really excited about this. And in that space, we're also going to have sessions on problem solving, speed networking, birds of a feather sessions, cooperative learning sessions. There's a lot going on. Britta and our team have been working really hard on bringing this to life along with our technology team. And we are really excited about it. I think it's going to be a huge shift for us, and it's absolutely the right direction in which we should be going.
Well, Lynn, I'm glad you elaborated, because when you said engagement area, I thought it was a place where people could propose to each other. So,
well, you never know.
you never know. That would be awesome.
That might be next year.
And I do miss the Birds of a Feather sessions. I don't know that I've seen them at too many other conferences recently. I know other conferences have had them, and I always thought it was fun. And sometimes I got more out of those Birds of a Feather sessions than any other aspect of the conference, right? And I don't know how it'll work at RSA, but you typically just write a topic on the board, and then people would sign up, and it would be a time and a place, and everyone would show up at that place and just talk about that particular topic, which I think is great.
So what we're going to do with Birds of a Feather, which and I love that you love those. What we've learned, some birds can easily find each other and flock together. Other birds need a little bit more structure. So in the Birds of a Feather area, there will be there's a certain amount that will be published beforehand. So they are there's sessions that are led primarily by speakers who are already speaking on a different topic. So they'll be clustered at a table having a conversation. But then yes, we're looking for the organic spin up of groups to have those conversations, Johnny, just like you talked about. So it might be, hey, I sat next to Johnny, you're Paul. You're not Paul. You're not Johnny, you're Paul.
It's okay.
So it's Johnny,
I was just going with it.
And I love Johnny. Johnny's great, and he helped me get all set up beforehand. But so exactly, Johnny, the voice there. This will be a way for people to connect. Because you sit next to someone in a session, you start having a conversation, it becomes a really interesting conversation. You want to discuss it further. So we're hoping that this really does become an instigator for these human connections, these very important human connections that matter during the week, but frankly matter throughout your career. So lots of work being done to help these connections happen that week.
I like logistically where the engagement zone is, because we'll be on the first floor of Moscone in Broadcast Alley, which means everybody will have to walk by us to either get to or from. So everybody should stop in and say hey to, well, at least Paul. Everybody wants to see Paul, but I'll be there too.
What I like about that too is I can go upstairs and perhaps participate in some of them, which is great.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yes, do. Through the Birds of a Feather area, as well as through the Brain Date functionality that Linda was talking about, which will also help you, through an app, find people, set up specific times. Hey, at 11 o'clock, I'm going to be in the Brain Date Lounge. Let's connect and have this one-on-one conversation about this topic that we've identified through our profile is of mutual interest to the two of us.
Yeah, I love that, because the other value I get out of conferences is when either I meet someone new or see someone that I know previously, and we go, hey, I'm working on this, and they're working on that. Hey, we should find some time to talk, right? And it's really hard at a conference sometimes to find time to talk and go out to dinner. Like everyone's got dinner plans, right? So this is great. It allows us to an easy way to find space and time to go talk.
Yep.
So
and it's really cool space, and there'll be space for you to meet, which is often a challenge as well, to find somewhere to sit down.
Yeah, I agree.
And there'll be a coffee bar.
I was going to say, is then there's coffee there too. It's perfect. It's perfect.
So I assume you need the app in advance before you go so you can get connected to other brains to do the brain dating.
Yes, and there'll be extensive information on our site with helping people, a video to coach you through it. Look for that in a couple weeks to be available on the RSA conference site and get your profile set up. It really, really is a fabulous way to help people connect on an individual level that we really hope will spawn long-term relationships.
That's great. Even with some of the other Security Weekly hosts, sometimes we don't get a chance to sit down and talk about things. So this might be a good opportunity to do that. It's awesome.
Super.
All right. Also,
go ahead, Matt.
A bunch of new content this year too, right? So we definitely want to see kind of the new content that's coming that aligns to the theme of the human element. So I think, Britta, you have some updates on content for us.
Yeah, bunch of new content. There always is. It's always exciting. We had almost 2,400 submissions this year. The program committee had their work cut out for them going through that. And through the course of that, there's certain mainstay tracks that we always have. Human element being one of them. That's been a track that's been in existence for many years. This year, through the course of looking at what came through, talking with the program committee, looking at other trends, we do have some new tracks that are also being offered. In particular, we have the open source community tools. That one's a cool one. Listening to your segment before this and some of the great content you guys put out there, there's such an explosion in really cool, interesting tools that people want to share, people want to make usable. So there's a fabulous program committee that's curated some really good specific content with open source in mind. And there'll be some good tools that come out of that as well. And then product security. Again, interestingly, no surprise, there's a further and further emphasis on secure product development, privacy aware, and just natively secure tools. So great program committee there, again, has guided some content specifically for that developer community, which, there's fuzzy lines between all of these different tracks. There's things that are mutually interesting to different people. So
Britta, I just want to say, I really love the fact that you've separated out product security. I think at Security Weekly, we haven't necessarily done a great job of doing that because it's very different, right? It's different from, I want to build a DevOps tool chain and talk about secure development. It's a totally different thing to talk about product security, right? Having worked for a security product vendor in the past, that aspect of it is completely, how do you prevent people from pirating your software, right? How do you allow them to change their password securely, right? There's a different set, I think, of issues in product security, and it's nice to see it separated out.
Well, it's interesting you bring that. And again, very fuzzy lines between our tracks. It's not meant to be somewhere that someone sits and isn't interested in anything else the whole time. But it's interesting looking, again, we see so much that comes through with the submissions that are put forward, as well as, frankly, the great guidance of the program committee, and looking at the maturation of that product security function, and even within organizations, chief product security officer, we're seeing that as movement. Again, logically makes sense, but we did see that it was important to have somewhere, and it actually it was a couple CISOs who came to us and said, we have teams that need somewhere where they can work together. They need to build community. They need, as we talked about earlier, that networking with one another. Will you build a track? And again, we exist to serve the community. When the community comes and asks for something like this, absolutely, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. And look forward to those, as well as the third new track we have this year is anti-fraud. And that, again, we've had a great long-term Monday program for leaders from the fraud community. And there was an opportunity and a desire from that group to have additional content throughout the week. So again, a great program committee that's led some content development specifically in the anti-fraud space.
That's awesome. Great.
Well, I think the open source track is interesting too, because when you think about RSA conference for a second, you think of Moscone North and South and the expo hall and all the security vendors. It's great to be able to sit down and actually look at a lot of the really good open source tools that exist that are solving problems for a lot of organizations. They may not have the same bells and whistles as some of the commercial products, but as Paul showed in the previous segment, you can leverage these open source tools to do very basic security checks and validations across a spectrum of development and products, et cetera. So I think that's great to really highlight a lot of the great work that's being done in the open source community.
Absolutely. And we are so, we're lucky in this community that there is such a desire to give back. There's such a desire to share. There's such a desire to, it's the good, bad, ugly. People are willing to share. And there are some really interesting tools from the enterprise space, that someone's created within an organization with, hey, I want to share this with others so they can benefit. So, watch this space for some more great work coming to help from us to try to help the community to find each other, to connect, to share the work that they're doing.
And so, Britta, there's a way for students to get involved as well. Because when I speak to students who are studying in security or want to break into the security field, they typically try to focus on more technical conferences that only have technical content, right? Not a larger conference like RSA. But it sounds like you've got a home for a lot of students as well.
Yes, if they're technical students, that's where they're interested. But what we have tried to do, and I appreciate you going there with the conversation, Paul, because that's another really important part of our community that we, as RSA Conference, feel very passionately about. It's the future. And so we have a scholar program that's been in place for, I think this is year 6 of the scholar program. We bring 80 students from 40 different universities across the United States. They're nominated by their faculty to be there, and their cross-discipline represents the cross-discipline of the RSA conference attendees, meaning there's privacy folks, there's policy-minded students, there are hardcore cryptographers, and everything in between. And the goal here is to expose them to the great minds and community that are at RSA conference, but also to each other. Again, where we started the whole conversation with the importance of human connection and really feeling like you're a part of something. So, the class of 2020, it's an incredibly diverse group of amazing students who I would imagine will be, leaders very quickly of their own right. And they're brought together, a carefully curated program that's created for them throughout the week. We also, on a larger scale, we have a program called College Day. And that allows any student who, we have to be careful here. It's a student with, X number of credit hours they're taking this semester. We want to make sure these are truly students. But Thursday and Friday, they have access to the programming at RSA Conference. They also have access to some additional program that's done specifically for them. And they have free access to that. Again, important future that we want to invest in and help to support.
That's awesome. I love it.
So if you see those students, reach out, be nice to them. They're an important part of our growing community.
We need that innovation from the younger folks, and I think it's great to get them together with the rest of the community and really figure out how to leverage their skill sets in these environments, right? It could be a great recruiting place, too, for a lot of companies who are looking for some of this younger talent to come in and help them.
Absolutely.
And is that what Launchpad Lite? That's not the Scholar program, right?
No, Launchpad is actually ISB Lite, if you want to look at it that way. But Launchpad, thank you so much. Cool new program, which we offered. We started last year, and we've actually taken on the road. We've done it internationally as well in Australia this past year. But ISB, everyone knows and loves that one. That takes place on Monday. Some fabulous entries this year. It'll be interesting to see who the top 10 are that program committee selects. But Launchpad is a light program of that. That takes place on Wednesday, and it's basically for that type of innovative company that's one stage earlier than ISB. So it might be an idea on the back of a cocktail napkin, and the ability to get some feedback real time. It's a social event as well as a some content where you hear from 3 different very early stage companies in the security space.
And that's important, similar to the scholar programs, right? To encourage that innovation. Because certainly, I mean, I think a lot of us think, well, we've got enough vendors, and that's it. There's so many problems to solve, right? And so many different creative ways to solve them. That embracing and coaching early stage companies, I think, is something that myself and many of my cohorts in security are very passionate about. So Matt as well.
Yeah. So you have
Absolutely.
Launchpad. Yeah, Launchpad kind of leads you into Innovation Sandbox. Innovation Sandbox being that big event on Monday. Then after Innovation Sandbox, then we move to Sandbox. And I think this is the other interesting piece that people always don't understand that well. We all think about Innovation Sandbox. We get the 10 companies up there. We see the pitches. Somebody wins. But then that whole area transforms for the rest of the week into the Sandbox. Describe the Sandbox.
Oh, the Sandbox is a beautiful space that everyone definitely wants to visit. Yeah, we put a lot of work into that space, and we want to make sure, we as a group, we're like, how can we help the build out for this space to become utilizable the rest of the week? So in the Sandbox, and I have my notes here to make sure I get them all right. We've got some really interesting, we've got 7 key security areas this year. These change every year depending, again, on themes that we're seeing, on areas that we feel like are important. Some of these will resonate when I go here as people think about 2020. So we have aerospace. So there's freestanding information in and around this, and then there's a stage which has presentations that will take place during the week to support that Sandbox. So aerospace, car hacking, industrial control systems, IoT, medical devices, supply chain, and 2020, voting and election security. So another amazing group of a cluster of content, of hands-on. This area is meant to be very hands-on, very interactive, to expose people to those particular areas of focus in the Sandbox. And then right next door to the Sandbox, as we've had this theme of innovation, which is also a bedrock of RSA conference, very important, we have the Early Stage Expo. And I know, Matt, you have some direct experience with that in a prior life, where these are companies, just like, the comparison between Launchpad and ISB, this is the comparison between companies here and companies on the expo floor. So these are companies that are earlier stage in where they are at as a commercial offering. So those vendors are right next door to Sandbox. So it's a really great destination for attendees at RSA conference.
Now, my next question was for Linda. Is, with all the different things that are going on at RSA, how do you recommend folks navigate and manage their time, and what resources are available for that? Because there's so many great things going on. Like, I want to go to everything, but obviously one person can't go to everything, right?
There is. And we do recommend that people come with a plan, quite honestly, because especially if you've never been before, I mean, we all know it's a huge event. We're expecting 45,000 people again this year. We have over 500 sessions. We have 700 speakers. We have 700 exhibitors. And it's like, where do you start? So we do recommend that people spend some time going through the session agenda on the website ahead of time. Just make notes of what you want to come. You can reserve a seat in sessions.
Oh, interesting. That's good.
Yeah. So again, something we really encourage you to do. We do get to the situation where sessions can be sold out, where they're full. We do have a new session overflow room this year called the Viewing Point, where we are going to be simultaneously pumping in the feed from the session for about 6 or 7 concurrent sessions. So if you do find yourself at a session that's sold out, you can go there to view it in real time. But yeah, the reserve a seat functionality is a great add, and you can get these sessions into your calendar. And I would say the same thing for the expo floor, because with those 700 exhibitors, it can be an overwhelming experience. So, we just encourage you to figure out who it is you want to see in advance and plot your route through. So A couple of things.
It's funny, Linda, that's what we do, right? And with a conference this large with that many exhibitors, you can make a list of the ones you want to visit, but then you got to go plot them on a map, because you can't go, I want to be on one end of the floor and then go all the way to the other end, right? You got to geographically, I want to hit the vendors in this area first and that area first. Like legit, you're going to be walking a lot. So map that out,
absolutely.
Right?
And then, so just a couple of other things as well, if you haven't been to RSA conference before and this is your first time. So our team runs about 10 days before the conference and know before you go webcast. It's always really highly attended. We're sharing a ton of very useful information for your experience at RSA conference. We have team members online who will be answering questions. We get a great response to it. And I think, at that point, people are really focused on the experience they want to have and take the time to attend. So that's something that's really worth attending if you can. And then we do have a first timers meetup on site as well. So we're currently figuring out the exact structure of that event. But it's a great place to come and hear from our program committee members who are going to be sharing their experiences, highlighting some of the key sessions that they think are worth visiting. But it's also a great connection point if you haven't been before, and if you're there on your own or in a small group and you just want to meet some extra people. So watch out for information on that.
And now, Linda, is there a way to, because I know a lot of organizations, vendors and other organizations have their own kind of like private events. Do you have a listing for that, or that's just like you got to just talk to your friends and see what's happening?
Yeah. So the ones that we know about anyway, we do have a page on our website for ancillary events. And so we encourage people and other organizations that are holding events around RSA conference. There's a huge ecosystem, and that's fantastic. That's the whole point of bringing the community together. We encourage them to submit details to us, and we try and plot everything out on a page on our website. But Of course, that can only do it for the ones that we know about. So if you are planning on holding something, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah.
Matt, sorry, did you have a quick...
No, I think for people logistically, just to understand, there's so many different places, right? If I got this right, you've got Moscone North and South, which is the main expo hall. And I think there's also sessions in North and South still, right?
Yeah, so the majority of our sessions are in South and in West. So in previous years as well, we've had the Marriott, but that's just added an extra kind of level of complexity. We've tried this year to simplify things and keep our sessions purely to South and West, which is also an easier journey for people.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where you'll find the majority of the content.
And then in West, you've got Engagement Zone, Broadcast Alley, which is where we'll be. I think Keynotes are still in West.
We do. We have Keynotes down on the ground floor. Sorry, on the first floor. Sorry, that's my Britishness coming out.
Yes.
So when you enter West, it's literally there's a massive ballroom expo floor down there, which is where our Keynotes are going to be.
And then Marriott Marquis is where Innovation Sandbox, and Early Stage Expo are still there, correct?
No. So they're going to be in South this year. We're actually only using the Marriott in a limited capacity. We're going to have our bash there, which is going to be great this year. It's an 80s theme, which we're all very excited about. It gives us a good excuse to wear our leg warmers and fanny packs and scrunchies. So we're having a few activities over there, but Sandbox and Innovation Sandbox and Early Stage Expo are all going to be in South this year.
That's good to know, because you used to have to walk your way over to the marquee and get down underground to find it. So it's good that it's in South. It's a good update for everybody, because I'm used to it being over at the Marriott.
Yeah, some big changes this year. And again, focusing on the attendee experience, it's so important to us. So the team has taken a lot of time just looking at all this stuff and trying to figure out, what works from a flow perspective. How is it easy for people to get around? What's the easiest route through RSAC?
That's great.
So the keynotes this year, are there just 2 keynotes or more than one? How did you select them, and who are they?
Yes. So let me give you a quick keynote overview. And I have to say, we are, again, thrilled with our keynote lineup this year. So last year we introduced a second keynote stage, and we are continuing that this year. So we have our West stage and our South stage. So on the West stage, we have a really nice blend of industry leaders, influential voices in the industry, as well as guest speakers who come from outside of the cybersecurity industry. So just a few examples of some of the great speakers we've got. We are super excited to have Mary Barra, who's the chair and CEO of General Motors, joining us on the Thursday. Cara Swisher, who is a very well-known tech journalist, the founder and editor-at-large of Recode, and Dr. Peggy Whitson, who's a record-breaking NASA astronaut and biochemist. So those are just three of the guest speakers on the West stage. So, you know, people often say to us, well, these people aren't connected to the industry, but you know what? You know, they help our audience think differently, get a different perspective, and think differently about their careers and community and their lives. And, you know, we always get really good feedback about these guest speakers. We're thrilled with these three ladies this year. I think they're going to really bring their own unique perspectives to the conference. And they do hold some relevance for the industry, you know. So, you know, what they do intertwines with what we do, with focus on AI and automation and key policy decisions and technology impact. So there is some relevance there for the industry too. Then on the South stage, we have sessions ranging from security and privacy implications of genomics to psychology of fear, to supply chain risk, to vulnerability disclosure. And the sessions on the South stage are just designed to go into a little bit more depth and also offer Q&A and engagement opportunities. So that's it in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Matt,
We
Britta,
can't wait.
any other comments, questions?
It's going to be great.
Have fun.
Truly, there's a lot of work that goes into RSA conference, and yet it's my favorite week of the year because exactly, I mean, back to what we started at. It's all about the human connections. It's about seeing people that, oh gosh, I saw you here last year. Let's catch up. That's the passion, and that's the energy, and that's the goodness of this industry that we're all lucky to be a part of. And at RSA conference, when we bring these people together, and it's the conversation. There's the formal is great, the informal is just as great, and just really look forward to being able to see people again this year and connect.
Fantastic.
I look forward to hugs in the hall as we fly by each other.
Indeed.
There's always a hug. There's always a hug on offer.
Fantastic. Well, our audience can learn more and register for the RSA Conference 2020 using our discount code by going to securityweekly.com/RSAC 2020. Britta and Linda, thank you so much for appearing on Enterprise Security Weekly.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And that will conclude the show for today. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. See you next time.